Hi everyone, we're here with Ed Howard. He's probably a very familiar face to a lot of you. Ed has worked for BMW as a brand for the last 40 years, and we just celebrated his 40th anniversary last month, which is crazy. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about Ed's career. Ed, how did you get into working with BMWs and the brand in general?
Well, it started when I actually moved up to Minneapolis. I had a job in the clothing business, and after about 6 weeks in the clothing business, the company I was working for had an embargo on their clothes coming in from Korea, so I was out of a job. So I knew some people who worked over in the car business, and they said, "Well, we're opening a new dealership, and would you like to get in the car business?" I said, "Sure." I had no choice because I had no money coming in. So I started working over at Metro Mazda BMW, which was in St. Paul. And I do remember the first thing that the manager said to me. He says, "I'll give you 6 weeks. And after 6 weeks, if you don't get out of the car business, you'll probably never get out of the car business." So here I am, 45, 50 years later, still doing the same thing.
Love it. And one of the questions I was going to ask you is what kept you with the brand for so long? Why did you choose to stay?
Well, it's a great brand. It always has been. It's been successful. For many years, I sold both Mercedes and BMW. And even though I sold both, I still always sold more BMWs than Mercedes. So it was kind of a natural fit to just stay with the brand when the dealerships separated and came over here with BMW and been with ever since.
What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the last 40 years in the car industry, in BMW in general? So that's pretty broad, but you can talk about some of the biggest changes you've seen.
Well, some of the biggest changes when I started out in the car business, I think out of 50 professions that were rated nationally, car salesmen finished up 49th, just ahead of garbage men.
Oh my God.
So our reputation was not very good, and deservedly so, because back 40 years ago, it was a cutthroat business. It was a business that wasn't very honest. It was a business that you sometimes didn't even feel good about what you were doing. But the change has really been, I think it's gone from one of the most or least respected businesses to probably one of the most respected businesses because of all the compliance and issues we have to deal with. I don't think I know of anyone who could be more honest than being in the car business and have a successful career.
I love that. I was actually just talking with Rick about this, and he did a little video for me talking about that, how he feels like the people in the car industry don't get enough credit for how honest they are, especially nowadays. It's kind of hard to shake that reputation.
Right. I used to say, if you can't trust a car salesman, who can you trust? So, never was true, but now I think it is true.
What are some industry secrets that you've learned over the years? Do you have anything special that you want to share that maybe people wouldn't know, or some insights?
I don't know about industry secrets. I think there's a lot about selling that are probably misunderstood, or that a lot of people who want to get into sales really don't understand. I think, the old saying, you have two ears and one mouth, and basically that's because you should do a lot more listening than you do talking, like I'm doing right now. But most of sales really is trying to get to know people and get to know what their likes are and listening to them more than you telling them what they want. They tell you what they want. And if you listen carefully, you kind of can figure out. I've always told people that your sales made within the first 5 to 10 minutes of contact with the new customer. So if you've got that rapport going in the first 5, 10 minutes, chances are you can feel where that sale is going to go and if it's going to be successful, or if not, where you need to go to get it done.
Love it.
So I'd say that's about really the main secrets. Industry secrets, I don't even really get privy to, except, things that happen or changes that are made, but they're more corporate than they are in the salesperson's part.
What are some tips you have for someone who wants to get into the car industry?
Well, it's pretty much like getting into any other business. I mean, trying to know what you need to do, what you need to learn. I think I remember when I started out in the business, we had a system where every night we'd go stay after work and had a manager teaching you all the things you needed to do. Basically, because I think he had nowhere else to go, so he figured he'd keep us all there. But I think to get into the business now, you got to want to be successful. You got to want to work hard, learn your products, but most of all, learn people. It's all about learning people, the ones you work with and the ones you're working against, and also, the customer. Get to know your customer. I mean, there's so many little secrets of getting to know your customer. I mean, even going on a test drive, first thing I look at, do they have a college sticker? Do they have any sports activities in their car? Is there anything that I can maybe become familiar with them and where they can sort of make a bond with me, even though it has nothing to do with the car? So, and a lot of times I just kind of feel like if they want to buy a car, I'm here to help them, but if they don't want to buy a car, I'm just as fine with it.
That's great advice, and I feel like that's applicable to a lot of different things. So what is something that you want to share about your time, your last 40 years, and what you've loved about it? Anything you want to share. It can be anything.
Well, I think, the most important part, I think, with the last 40 years was just a lot of the friendships I made with people in the business. You get to know a lot of people, a lot of customers. I get to see a lot of people who out and about at restaurants who I've sold cars to and who I've actually became friends with and established good relationships with. And I think that's the most important part. And I enjoy coming to work to be with, fellow salespeople. And that's kind of hard to leave. And that's kind of one of the reasons I probably still keep on doing it, is because of the people. And I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy people. Other than that, that's really the secret.
Well, you've definitely become a huge pillar for everyone around here, and everyone loves having you. Everyone's got a good story about you, so thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for talking to me.
Of course. Good job, Ed.